Hey there! And welcome to DollMotion. It's been a while, but I'm back to celebrate the holidays with you. In this video, we're going to make a new kitty doll so we can reboot the channel. Yes, Kitty the Hamster-Cat has been the mascot of the DollMotion channel from the very beginning, which is almost 8 years now. Wow. But did you know I designed her about 15 years ago? It was back in animation art school that I used her for animation tests. She and Motto became my blog mascots, and after that I added Franger. So it was an obvious choice to take them as my mascots for DollMotion. However, there's one big downside to having a logo that's just a drawing. Without knowing this channel, no one can tell it's about dolls and crafting. So, we're going to create a bigger doll version of Kitty to rebrand the channel. And with this in mind, let's begin and make Kitty. For this project, we're going to use a Creatable World doll body with a Gen 2 Frankie doll head. To start the repaint, we first need to remove the doll head from the Creatable World doll body. We do this by dunking the doll head in hot boiling water. This softens the vinyl and makes it easy to remove from the neck pack without breaking it. Believe me, that happens very easily. But be careful. Use a washcloth or something similar to avoid burning yourself. As always, we remove the ears with an X-Acto knife. And because I'm a weirdo, I like to collect the doll ears in a jar. I don't know why, it's like a trophy or something. To remove the factory painted face, we use pure acetone and a makeup wipe. You can also use nail polish remover, if pure acetone isn't available in your area. But don't forget to wash the doll head with soap afterwards. This prevents any acetone residue from ruining your new repaint. Now we're going to do some body modifications. Let's move to the workspace. To better mimic Kitty's body type, we need to shorten the limbs. We do this with a Dremel tool. I like to use one with a flexible shaft. It's a great add-on and makes crafting much more enjoyable. Although I gave her a tail hole, I will probably skip giving her a tail in the end. The little holes I make in the limbs are attachment points, so I can better reconstruct the body. Great! Everything is in pieces! Sadly, I lost the footage of when I dyed the body with red dye more. But it's the same process as with any other doll I've dyed. Though in this case, it turned out to be pretty pointless. You will see why later. Now, let's reconstruct the body. And here we have the first problem. When we cut the doll body to mimic Kitty's shape, the joints became exposed. You can see the move, which is cool, but not ideal for reattaching the limbs. So to solve this, we're going to add a little piece of craft foam between the limbs. This protects the joints without gluing them in place. I carefully glue all the pieces together with super glue to keep everything in place, so we can use a stronger adhesive, 2-part epoxy glue. Mix the epoxy and you have about 5 minutes to spread it around the limbs before it hardens completely. Once the epoxy sets, you can shape the limbs with epoxy sculpt. Remember to use gloves to avoid skin irritation. Now let's work on Kitty's face modifications, like adding her ears. Start with 2 blobs of epoxy. Cut out a triangle. Cut the edges. And sculpt the tips into pointy ears. Use a silicone tool to smooth the inner ears. Let the epoxy dry completely, which takes about a day. Trace the ear placement with a marker, then remove them so we can work on our mouth. Cut off the lower lip and make a hole in the mouth area. Insert a piece of epoxy sculpt through the neck opening to shape the tongue. While that dries, let's return to the body. Back in the workspace, sand down the body for a smooth finish. I don't really trust the durability of the joints though. Since I plan to give Kitty a fur coat, which will limit the access to the body, these connections need to be extra sturdy. So, we will reinforce them with extra strong glue and fabric. First, glue fabric to the joints. Then use PVC glue for added strength. This smells awful, but it works very well. Now the body is complete and we can attach the head. First fill the head with hot glue to secure the tongue from the inside. Let it cool, then place the head on the body. Next, glue the ears on top of the head with super glue. Only work on face modifications when the head is on the body. This is so to prevent any cracks in the clay. Give everything a light sanding, and while we add it, let's sand down the feet too. You know what would be fun? If Kitty had more hand options. Luckily, I have a box full of doll hands. Let's swap the old ones for these new ones. I like my Kitty dolls curvy, but to keep the doll lightweight, we'll be using pantyhose and filling. First, cut the pantyhose in the right shape. Sew them around the doll and leave an opening to stuff the filling. Slowly shape the doll with the stuffing. I chose 3 colors of fake fur. So we need to use paint that match these colors. To start the face up, we first mask off the body with a cloth fabric. Use watered down paint and your finest brush to paint the face. While we are working with a light greenish blue shade, let's paint the hands and feet too. Great! Now that we have the base, let's start the face up. First, I spray the doll with a thin layer of Mr. Super Clear. I also wear a glove on my left hand to hold the doll. while the right hand will hold the tools. Start with watercolor pencils to create a guide. Then switch to Vallejo acrylic paint for details like pupils and the sclera. Add a hint of color to the pupils and give her some shades with pastels. This will make the highlights pop, like the eye shines. I ran into a little trouble with the eyelashes. They look too uncanny. Fortunately, you can scrape off acrylic paint and try again. I decided to skip the eyelashes altogether to keep Kitty more animal-like, compared to my Divas dolls, which are more human. Add some more dark shades for depth, pastel powders for highlights, and seal in the face off with Mr. Superclear. Now it's time to add her fur. I wasn't really sure how to tackle this. Should I glue the fur or sew a fur coat? Since I never sewed a fur coat, let's give it a try. To make a pattern for a unique doll body, wrap the doll in cling film. Then cover the whole body with masking tape. Looking at my mini version of Kitty I use for the Diva series, I can draw the pattern onto the new, larger Kitty. And now comes the hard part. We need to cut off the masking tape without damaging the doll. Oh no, I cut open the filling. Oh well, at least we cut the pattern. Mark each piece and cut them out. Then we trace the pieces. They might look terrible, but don't worry, we can easily fix that. Fold them in half and trace them again. And here we go, a symmetrical pattern for a fur coat. Cut it out once more and trace it on the fur. Then cut out the fake fur pieces. But before we can sew the fur around the body, we first need to flock the face and hands. To make flocking, take a piece of fur and cut it into teeny tiny bits. Oh, let's fix that first. There we go. Smear a thick layer of fabric glue on the face. And press the fur bit into it. Do the same for the hands and feet. When that dries, we can start sewing the fur coat. First, trim down the fur pieces for easier handling. And then attach them. And yeah. Unfortunately, sewing this fur coat didn't really work well. This thick fabric made Kitty's head look too small compared to her body. Well, fluffy is great. This is a way of design. But hey, now you will know 2 ways to add fur to a doll. Let's go back and use fur wefts instead. But first, we brush off the excess flock with an old toothbrush. Then add some blush to give the face more depth. And bring back any details that may have been lost during the flocking process. And here are the hands. To create fur wefts, cut strips of fur and glue them to a plastic sandwich bag. Let the glue dry for a day. Then peel off the wefts. Trim the edges. Then start gluing them onto the doll, working from the legs upward. Use a lighter fabric color on the belly. Then switch back to a darker fur as you move up. For the ears, start gluing fur from the edges and work inward. Trim the fur for a clean look. A pet brush is handy for removing loose hairs. After trimming, you may spot some imperfections. Fix them with fabric glue, so you have better control. Finally, we add Kitty's hair. Well, technically it's fur. Start at the base and layer it until you reach the top. Cover the big bald spot with a large weft. Trim the hairstyle and fix any remaining imperfections. Add pastel powders to her body, hands and feet for shading. For styling, I use a strong gel. Although the deepest version of Kitty has a hamster tail, I actually never envisioned her having one. So this version will stay tailless. Great, the hands work perfectly. To make the doll come alive, add a drop of high-class varnish to the lips and eye shines. Finally, spray hairspray to seal the pastel powders and to prevent them from rubbing off. And with this, Kitty is complete. At the time you're watching this, the channel will have received an upgrade with a new logo, banner and updated social media profiles. They all use the same branding, so you will recognize it's me. You can find all the links in the description box below. Oh, so soft. I also like to announce that I will continue the Monstrum Repaint series here on YouTube. These repaint videos are made possible by my lovely supporters, like Kanemaru and everyone else on Patreon and YouTube memberships. Thank you so much. And you, watching, wherever you are, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year! Like always, like if you liked it and sub if you loved it. I will see you in 2025 with a brand new video. Bye!